Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be covering, are your supplements doing you more harm than good? Dun dun dun. So there is a lot on the market to consider, and it can be kind of overwhelming going through a health food store or supplement aisle and figuring out what should I take, what shouldn't I take, what dose, what form, what brand. So there are a lot of factors to consider, which I'm going to go over today so that you can be a more conscious consumer. So one of the most important things is that this is individualized. Like everything in naturopathic medicine, it is tailored to each specific individual based on what their concerns are, what their medical history is, what drugs they're on, so that there's no interactions. So it's extremely important that you consult a healthcare practitioner to make sure that it's safe. That's my first and foremost concern, is that this is safe. I am living and practicing in Canada, so this will be slightly from a Canadian perspective in terms of regulations. However, the things that I talk about later in the video in terms of what to consider when you're buying a supplement apply to everybody. Up to 70% of Canadians consume some sort of natural health product. Now, what is a supplement and why would somebody take it? I see supplements into kind of two categories. One, nutritional supplementation, so that's things like vitamins, minerals, essential fatty acids, that sort of thing. And then the other side of that would be botanical supplements, which I love. Okay. So why take a supplement in the first place? Food that should be good enough, right? Well, supplementations are exactly that. It is supplementing what you don't have. So I'm a big proponent of food first. Like Hippocrates said, let food be thy medicine. I absolutely agree with that, and that is absolutely a foundational place to start. However, for a couple of different reasons, supplementation might be necessary. So one, our soil just isn't what it used to be, particularly in North America. So it is either deficient or devoid in a couple of different vitamins and minerals, magnesium being the prime example of that. And because there is that deficiency in the soil, that means that's not getting into our food. So while we might have a whole foods diet, it's not necessarily giving us the value that we think it is, if that makes sense. A third reason that we might want to consider supplementation is that our demands are just a lot higher than they used to be. Now that can be environmental, like pollution. That can also be higher demands like stress. Stress, for example, pulls on magnesium as a source. The higher the stress, the more that we're leaning on magnesium from a biochemical process. And as we know, in North America at least, everybody's stressed out all the time. So it's just another factor to consider of what your demands are, and if they're higher than normal, is your food meeting those demands? Finally, if there's some underlying concern like iron deficiency anemia or an anemia that's associated with lack of B12, folate, supplementation would be required because for whatever reason, food just isn't cutting it. 1, is it safe? 2, is it for me or for you who are watching? 3, is it cost effective? So when I'm talking about safety, I live in Canada, so Health Canada is the kind of body that governs what is able to be put on the shelves. There is a smaller sort of regulatory body within that called the Natural and Non-Prescription Health Product Directorate, NNPHPD, just to make it a little bit shorter, but not really. What they do is they're reviewing all of the products that are going to be put on the shelves for the safety and efficacy of them. So there is a minimum threshold of safety for supplements to be put on the shelves. In 2004, they came out with a natural health product regulation that has certain standards that need to be abided by for products that are being put on the shelf. If there is enough human evidence for a natural health product that the claim on the label is accurate, then they will get an NPN, which is a natural product number. So it's an 8-digit number that you can see on the bottle or the box of whatever natural health product you're looking at, and that will tell you that it's been reviewed by Health Canada and okayed to be on the shelf and okay for consumption. So that's at the very basic level, you know that you're getting something that's safe. The other thing to consider is good manufacturing practice. Now, that's not an absolute necessity for the supplements that are on the shelves, but that's something you could do a little bit more research about in terms of the brand. So there are certain brands like Organica and AOR that have good manufacturing practices That goes a little bit more into how everything is processed, the facility, the maintenance of the facility, and what training the personnel at the facility has gone through. The third part to safety is third-party testing. Again, this is not absolutely necessary to have done, but I find it's what sets certain supplement companies apart from one another. When you have third-party testing, it means that the company is paid a separate company to test their products. That's why some supplement companies and some products can be more expensive than others, is that's just a cost that goes into creating that natural health product. So yes, they're probably testing for, or yes, they are testing for ingredients, but they also can have certain clinical trials done specifically for those products. Dose is also important when choosing what supplement is right for you. Figuring out what is the effective dose for you and for what your specific concern is, and what the safe dose is as well. Finally, make sure it's addressing the root cause of whatever your concern is. So while a supplement on the bottle may claim helps with migraines and headaches, and it may, is it just kind of like Advil in that you have to take it in order for it to work? Because in that case, while it might provide you some relief, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that, you want to make sure that you are addressing why you're getting the migraines and headaches in the first place, and the supplementation might look very different in comparison. Then there's interactions. This is interactions both with other medications you're taking and interactions with whatever your medical history is. Supplements can also interact with medications. St. John's wort interacts with a lot of different medications because of the enzyme in the liver that it's processed by. So when you're picking a supplement and making sure that's right for you, a couple things to consider is the form. So the form means, let's take magnesium for example. What is magnesium attached to? Is it attached to oxide? Is it attached to bisglycinate, citrate, malate? Those are the four kind of most common ones that it can be bound with. And that changes the absorption of magnesium, and they all do very different things. So while you hear magnesium is good for you, and it is, you want to make sure that you're getting the right form of the supplement. So magnesium citrate, not well absorbed, which means that it pulls water into the bowels while it's being digested, and that can give you diarrhea. If you have sore muscles, trouble sleeping, bit of anxiety, you want that magnesium to be absorbed, because that's the off switch that you're looking for. So you're looking for something more like bisglycinate. So you'd buy magnesium bisglycinate, it would be well absorbed, you're all good. Now if you're thinking, okay, I really want to sleep better, I want to help my anxiety, I want to be less tense in my muscles, I'm going to go get some magnesium. You pick up magnesium citrate and you don't really see any benefit because the magnesium is not being absorbed and you have diarrhea. So lose-lose. Alright, so we've covered, is this safe? Is this right for me? And now, is this cost effective? When I say cost effective, I don't just mean, is this supplement cheap? Because that's not really what I care about here. What matters is that, are you getting the best bang for your buck? I guess is a better way to say it, because let's say you have supplement A over here that's $12 and you have supplement B over here that's $40. Most people are going to be like, yeah, I'm obviously choosing the $12 one. Duh. So not all supplements are created equally, is essentially what I'm trying to say. And that is often reflected in the price. So I find that the ones that do the more rigorous testing, that ensure the high quality ingredients, are more expensive. So again, we need to consider dose. Do I have to take 12 of the $12 product in order to get the effectiveness of 2 of the $40 product? Because when you end up doing the math, it ends up actually being the same thing. You're just going through a lot more bottles of the $12 product. The other reason that some supplements might be more expensive is because of the extraction process that they do. It does depend, this is more for botanicals by the way, it does depend on the botanical and what like medicinal constituents you're trying to pull out of that as to what extraction you do. So for example, cordyceps, which is a medicinal mushroom, mushrooms have become so popular. So cordyceps, let's say with the bottle that's $12, there is 300 milligrams of cordyceps in there. I'm just making this up. I'll buy the $12 one. Now this $40 one also has 400 milligrams of cordyceps. However, they've ensured that there's a certain amount of the medicinal constituents that are required to actually do what you want it to do in that when they did the extraction process and the processing of that medicinal mushroom. So there's 25% adenosine in it that they've listed on the bottle. That means that you're getting the constituent that you want out of it. I'm a base girl. Okay, so I hope I covered most of what I could when it comes to being a conscious consumer around natural health products. A couple more things to think about before I leave you. One is the claim of bioavailability. Now, up until relatively recently, I thought the higher the bioavailability, the better. And for some supplements, that is true. But don't be fooled by what the supplements market on the label, because after all, it is still a natural health industry and they still are in the business of making money. That's why it's important to be informed and understand what to look for. Higher bioavailability is essentially just that there's a higher amount in your blood after taking it. But who's to say that you're actually absorbing that, and who's to say that that's where it needs to have the action? Maybe the action actually needs to be in your gut and the bioavailability doesn't matter. So these are just a couple things to consider when you're reading the label and you think, oh, that obviously means that it's a lot better. Not so much. Look at the added ingredients as well. So the fillers in the supplement. It'll be under non-medicinal ingredients in the nutrition label. So things that might be in there will be corn and soy and wheat and dairy. Not that they're necessarily bad, but if you have allergies or sensitivities, it's just something to watch out for, because you could be trying to do this amazing thing for your body, but there's this thing in it that's consistently aggravating you. I don't like cheese. I don't know anymore. I don't want to talk about it. And I just wanted to mention the difference between synthetic and whole food supplements. So most of the supplements on the market are synthetic, which means that they have been isolated. This is for more nutritional supplementation like vitamins and minerals than it is botanicals. So what synthetic means is they've isolated that vitamin or mineral and they've standardized it to a certain dose. However, it has been synthesized in a lab, so it's a molecule that's resembling the natural occurring form of that vitamin and mineral. Whole foods means that it's literally just been processed down into powder form and they've measured that amount of, let's say, vitamin A in that whole foods and standardized it to meet a certain dose. Why is this important? One good example is the difference between folate and folic acid. What? Aren't they the same thing? I thought so until relatively recently. I'm going to link down below an amazing resource that I've come across that has helped me understand supplementation a lot more. So folate is the naturally occurring vitamin, it's B9, found in foods like green leafy vegetables, and folic acid is the synthetically made form of it. If you have a variation of the MTHFR gene, which is a methylation gene, that doesn't allow you to properly metabolize certain structures such as folic acid, taking folic acid, that synthetic form, can actually increase cardiovascular risk as well as a couple of other things, but especially cardiovascular risk. So taking that folate, that whole food form of it, kind of bypasses that gene variation and you're able to absorb it, not increasing your risk of anything. You're just getting B9. And as we know, folate or B9 is incredibly important prenatally and during pregnancy to reduce the risk of neural tube defects in babies. In future videos, I'm going to go more into detail around specific supplements and what to look for, like magnesium. I'll do a video on fish oils. I'll go into more detail on what to look for, but this is just more of how to be a conscious consumer when it comes to natural health products, because while they're natural and they typically have fewer side effects than pharmaceuticals may, it doesn't mean that all are created equally and that all are completely safe for you. So I just want to make sure that when you're buying things, you are safe and you're getting things that are right for you, and that can be the most effective. Alright guys, thank you for tuning in. If you found this video helpful, give me a thumbs up, share if you know somebody who would benefit from this information, and don't forget to subscribe for weekly videos coming at you every Monday. Bye for now.